the impact of digital in our times is it determines who's included and who's excluded. Hello there, I'm Sharon Yeke, and welcome. Joining me in studio today is a visionary lawyer who is using technology not just to transform the legal space, but to empower disadvantaged and marginalized communities through innovation and inclusion. But before we dive into this powerful conversation, don't forget to follow DDEC Media on all platforms and Mtalek Solutions as well. This show has been brought to you by DDEC Media, and for top-tier photography and videography services, feel free to reach out using the contacts below. Godwin, karibu sana.
Asante sana, Sharon, for having me today.
You're most welcome.
Asante.
Maybe you can start by telling us a little bit about yourself.
I had that question, but I have to answer it anyway. So my name is Godwin Segero, a lawyer by profession, someone who is enthusiastic about tech, then also access to justice for all, because I believe justice is should not be a privilege, but a right, and should be accessible to everyone. Unfortunately, that's not the scenario, but that's why we're here today. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you so much for even creating time for us.
Right.
You've said that you're a lawyer by profession.
Yes.
So is it something that you always knew that you wanted to become a lawyer? Is it a dream that was inside you? Maybe you can tell us a bit of your background in school.
All right. So my journey in the legal profession is a bit complicated. First of all, growing up, I lost my dad at a very young age.
Oh, sorry.
I was just 8 years old. I think by then I was in grade 4. So that thing really hurt me, and I was like, one day I want to do this. I want to pursue law just so that I can get justice for my dad. But as things progressed, I think things took a different turn. When I was in high school, kidogo masomo ilikuwa ngumu, and I was like, I wasn't sure. I was like,
if this is the fact that you still want to take.
Let come what may. But thank God, eventually things aligned and ended up in law school. So
you're saying that you went to school to study, you wanted to pursue law because of what happened to your dad. Is it something that's involved in justice?
Yes.
Maybe if you don't mind, you can share the story as well.
Yeah, sure. So my dad, I lost my dad not to any illness or maybe an accident, but it was through brutal murder by people we once called family friends, people we shared meals with, people we laughed together. But at some point, betrayal took over, greed took over, and they cut my dad's life short. He was just to travel to the US the following week. So it was like the last dinner he was having with the friends. And that evening, they called him out for for a drink with the boys, and that's how he lost his life.
God, that's such an unfortunate story. You know, we always hear stories that when you're going abroad, don't share, don't let people know. So it's true.
It's true, because for him, he shared because he knew these are my close friends. These are people that are supposed to be happy for me, Unfortunately, that was not to be the case. And they murdered him, like literally. And after that, they were arrested, because these are people who are well known to us, to the community. They were arrested, but in less than 1 month, they were back in the society as if nothing happened. So I had to live with the trauma of meeting them every other day when I'm on my way to school, on my way back home. So at some point, I had to hide myself. When maybe I'm going to school, or maybe I'm just going at the shopping center, and I see one of these people coming. I couldn't stand meeting them, so I have maybe to hide. They passed before I proceed with the ongoing.
But you were very young. How did you understand that?
No, I was young, but still, I think that's a fallacy. Sometimes people assume because someone is a kid, they don't see. Because even this is like 25 years later, and I can still remember. So it means sometimes we underestimate the brain or the mindset, the mind of our child. So we assume, because we look at a child from our perspective, like we are older, so whatever at the age they cannot understand what is happening. But let me tell you, I vividly understand and remember everything that happened that particular day.
It's still a fresh feeling.
It's very fresh, very fresh.
But I'm so sorry for that
It's
incident.
all right.
So you later on discovered that you wanted to become a lawyer. You had lost maybe the momentum when you joined high school.
Yes.
So you went and pursued law.
Yes.
And then now you're a lawyer.
Yeah. So
good job.
After high school, I got a scholarship to pursue law in India.
Wow.
And it is just something that I can say it was miraculous. So then, if you would have asked me after high school, what do you want to do? Probably law was not on top of my bucket list. But when the scholarship came and it was about law, I was like, yeah, this is what I have to do.
Wow.
That's why I ended up in law school.
Wow. Maybe you can give us a brief experience about pursuing law in India. Maybe if you look back, do you love it that you went there, or maybe you could have loved to pursue it here in Kenya?
I think everything happens for a reason. And me having gone there, it changed everything, because other than just looking at it as a course, I also had a chance to interact with other people, other cultures, to see how people look at life. I had at some point I experienced racism, and
in India.
In India, unfortunately, but I can say it was an exciting experience. And even coming back, challenges here and there just before you get into the system, it was not easy. So I can say it's been an exciting experience with full of ups and downs, but worth it.
Wow. Now let's get into what has brought us here today. We can see it from your t-shirt, Mtalek Solutions.
Yes.
Maybe you can give us a brief explanation of what Mtalek Solutions is all about and when it was founded.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Actually, still talking about India, I think my love for tech grew up when I was in India. Most of us know, like, Indians with technology, they're on another level. So I got that interest from there. So when I came back to Kenya, I've always been curious about tech, be it computers, softwares. And then at some point, I got interested with AI.
Wow.
The moment.
Which year was this?
This should be around 2022.
Oh no.
Yeah, so the first time ChatGPT rolled its first, I was with
in
it.
2022.
And
yet in Kenya right now is when we're embracing it.
And mind you, at that time I was at Kenya School of Law, undergoing my advocacy training program.
Wow.
So I remember one day during our discussion group, so there's something that we are trying to discuss, and all of us we didn't know, So I asked people, why can't we use AI? And people were like, no, this law, you cannot use AI. And I was like, it's okay. So at some point, I went now behind the scenes, researched something using the same ChatGPT, then send the response to the group, and everyone was like, oh, this is good. But you see, everyone was first to dismiss it, but when I brought in the concept, everyone agreed with it, embraced it. No. So I was like, so sometimes we object things not because we understand, because there's what the expectation, what the society has given us, like, if you're a lawyer, this is how you're supposed to do your research, this is how you're supposed to.
You're not supposed to be on social media.
Yes, you're not supposed to use technology because that is taking shortcuts and all that.
Yeah.
But you see, you cannot resolve change because change is here. It's inevitable,
Wow.
So I got that interest, fast forward, moving, and I was like, there are things I knew. I thought probably because of my interest, after I started using ChatGPT, I went ahead now to take a
That was still in 2022?
Yes.
Wow.
So fast forward in 2023, I took up a course, it's called AI for lawyers, law students, and law professionals.
Wow.
Online, okay? So I looked at it and I realized there's a lot that can be done in our profession using technology. So I was like, why can't I now make this as something that could help other people? Because I know this, but how many other people know? And that's how Mtalek Solution was born. So I was like, we can embrace technology in our practice. And that's how we started in 2023.
So when you started in 2023, now we're in 2025.
Yes.
And right now is when AI, ChatGPT is being embraced now by almost all industries.
Yes.
Maybe for you now as a lawyer, have you seen any impact out of Mtalek Solutions?
Yes, thank God for the interest I have in tech. So I can say my life has been it's been weaved together. It's been a whole long journey.
Wow.
Probably whatever I was doing some things, but I didn't know where the journey was leading me until I realized So this is my purpose.
Okay.
And
So,
that's why Ai Magazani was born.
oh, sorry. So when you say that you were doing some things, but you didn't realize where they were taking you, why didn't you not decide not to focus on inheritance, property, family matters, and you chose the inmate, like you chose to specify on the inmates?
Because this is the thing. As I said, everyone has a different purpose and people have different goals and dreams. There are people who are into this profession solely to make money, to make a name for themselves and all that. I don't think I fall in that category. And it's okay to be who you are. And for me, I'm going to be this voice for the voiceless. That is where I find my satisfaction. Does it mean money is not important? It is. But does it mean that money is the only satisfaction, or is it that money is the only thing that will give me happiness? No. If someone can get a second chance to fight for life, if someone can get a second chance to unite with their family, if someone can get a second chance just to hope for a better future, if someone can get out of those, behind bars, aseme, why it not for so and so, I'll not be here.
Wow.
That's my happiness. If I can empower just one person, I think I'm good to go.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. So what are some of the gaps in justice and rehabilitation that you're addressing with this program?
Yeah, so what Ai Magazani tries to do, I say we look at it from a 360 degrees point of view. In the sense that there are three things that we are trying to achieve. First is the congestion of our prisons, because as we speak right now, our prisons are congested to the brim.
All prisons, or majority?
A majority of them. Especially, again, it depends with the area, because probably you see like Nairobi, you would expect because of the population and all that, the prisons, obviously the crime rate will be high and all that. So the prisons here will be will be full most of the time, you know. So how can we deal with that? Decongest them.
Prisons.
And then another aspect is the reduction of backlogs in our courts, because congestion of prisons means there's a lot of work that needs to be done in our courts. Again, our courts are underfunded, they are understaffed. So we have very few magistrates, few judges handling many cases. And the majority of these people are people who cannot afford legal representation. So the courts have to bear with them, bear with the time that they're going to take to submit probably those legal documents that are needed there, maybe to bring in submissions and all that. But how much does it take? And then you see something like crime, especially with the criminal justice system. It is something that it's a wheel that is always moving. Today, as we speak right now, there's someone who's committing a crime. There's someone who's being arrested right now. The next minute, there's someone who's being arrested. So what happens? It means for you to decongest these prisons, the courts have to be moving also faster. You get the point? But if you have these people who cannot represent themselves, who lack legal knowledge, they're going to drag this case. So in as much as even the courts would want to move, they'll be held back by these very inmates who cannot afford legal representation. So that's why we said, why can't we now take this initiative behind bars so that we can now empower these people? At least when someone is going to court, they can be in a position to represent themselves at least fairly, you know. So unlike a lay person who will go to court without no knowledge, without anything, at least they'll have at least one foot ahead when they're fighting for justice. So because they say justice it has to be seen to be served, not just to be deemed to be served. Okay. So how do we then help these people? And then the final aspect of this is now reintegration of these people into the society, and that is the biggest challenge. Okay. So what happens after this inmate has been released? Either they've served their term or they've been acquitted. Okay. What happens? Okay. We're living in a very high society whereby you're already condemned the moment you're arrested.
It's true.
Whether you're guilty or innocent, like as the perception according to the society is you're guilty.
It's true.
Okay. So you look at what happens to these people when they leave this, they're coming, let's say for someone who's stayed behind bars for 10 years or so, by the time they're coming out, the world has really moved ahead.
It's true.
So how do they survive? There's another challenge of people getting employment post incarceration. So what happens? you know, this is someone who's unlikely to get a good conduct, so no one is going to employ them. This is someone who doesn't have the up-to-date skills. So that's why we come in as Mutalex, even as we fight for their justice, for them to be released or for them to get a fair stab at justice. Now they should also be equipped with proper skills to help them survive outside prison.
Okay, so when you talk about equipping the inmates with these skills and everything, so how is Ai Magazani making sure that the inmates are equipped? Like, is it that you're giving maybe the gadgets to, or are you in collaboration with prisons to make sure that this initiative comes to life?
Yeah, so right now we're in partnership with the prison department on rolling out this initiative. So our pilot program will be next month in July, tentatively on the 10th of July.
Open to the public?
Yeah, open to the public. Okay, in terms of now supporting, because unfortunately all of us cannot go in there.
Yes.
So as we speak right now, the volunteer list for the people who will be spearheading the pilot program is already full.
Oh,
we already submitted to the prisons department. So we just, what we're doing right now is appealing to the public, because in as much as this is a just cause, we cannot do it by ourselves, but we welcome everyone, because it takes collective effort for us to achieve, because these people behind bars, they're not aliens. These are our brothers and sisters. These are people we once coexisted with in the society. But what happens just overnight, because someone went behind bars and we start treating them as strangers, you know. And unfortunately, they're not being treated as strangers by even strangers. They're being treated as strangers by the family, their family members, their relatives, their neighbors, the people who they once laughed together. Now they start seeing them as an outcast. So we welcome everyone. It can be in whatever way. It can be financially. You can volunteer to offer your skills. You can volunteer to donate, because we are looking at equipping all these prisons with at least proper computer infrastructure. Maybe at least if each and every prison can have a computer lab, where now these inmates, when it's their time, maybe they're going to court, they can go there and do their legal research, prepare for their representation, look at drafting these documents. So that's what you're looking at.
But now when you talk about equipping the prisons with, you know, computers, I feel like in our country it can be a bit of a challenge. Or is there a way that you can limit the access maybe to specific websites, or what happens in such a situation?
Again, as I said, you see, it's all in our mind, because we've been programmed to think that inmates, they're not human beings, so they're supposed to be alienated from any good thing, you know. And I understand internet, especially in prisons, poses a threat, but we have to look at it from a point of way between the threat that it poses and the good that it carries. Which one outweighs the other? If the good that it can serve outweighs the threat, then we can look at how do we then mitigate the threat. And one example would be maybe access, because if we bring internet to the prisons, one risk that it poses is there are some inmates who now take advantage of that, now to want to misuse the very noble initiative that we have and what it intends to serve. So now they'll start using it for other things. But we all in this tech era, you can limit, let's say for Ai Magazani, because we are coming up with an AI agent that will be tailor-made for the inmates' needs. So with that, you can now limit internet to what sites it can be used to access, and specifically to that purpose. So you can block all these other sites, so that whatever is being used is for the intended purpose.
Okay. So how can lawyers and volunteers maybe reach out to you in case they want to be involved in the program as well? So
if the power of AI, because we are yet to fully embrace it, but if you look at it from if you look at AI as an assistant, I usually treat AI as this assistant who knows everything. So it's just you giving them a task and telling them, I want this done, and they'll get the work done for you. So all you need to do is to understand what you want and know how you want it, and now give AI instructions for it to give you what you want. So it makes your work easier, efficient. You know, so it saves you a lot of time, and it comes, especially when it comes to money. The things I did when I was starting Mutalex, that ordinarily I wouldn't have done. Probably they would have become an obstacle for me to start. things to do with graphics design. These are things I did by my own. I started, because of the interest I've had with tech, I started now learning other tools. Wow. How can I leverage tools like Canva to do graphic design? Because we all know when you're starting up any other business or other startup, the financial issues is always a big thing. Yeah. So if you don't have finances, you'll always look at every other thing as an obstacle. If I had money, I would have done this. I cannot do this because I don't have money to pay a graphic designer to design a logo for me. I don't have money to do a poster, to do a flyer. So all these things, I did them by myself because I had that interest to leverage technology. So there's what technology did for me. It was like a soft landing for me, or rather a launchpad for me to start off. So as time progresses now, I bring in maybe people to do something maybe at a professional level, because now I can now afford, or probably I can maybe delegate and have someone do that for me. But when I was starting, I was doing it all alone. But I had to know which tools to leverage. Maybe when it comes to project management, how do I go about it? I look at ClickUp, I look at Notion. How do they help me do my work?
I'm loving how you're so informed about tech, given that you're a lawyer. I find it a bit, it's a bit out of this world when lawyers, doctors are into social media, because we had that notion that you're not supposed to be on social media. So what would you advise maybe startups, maybe those people who are still fresh into the law field? Maybe is it important for them to also make sure that as much as they're studying law, they also get to understand what is Canva, how can you design a poster for yourself?
Even just for branding, because even a law firm is like any other business. So how do you brand yourself? How do you market yourself? How do you brand yourself on platforms like LinkedIn and that? So it now narrows down to you as an individual. If you are really up to task, like you want to achieve whatever you want, you can do it. It's only that sometimes we hide ourselves in those cocoons, like I'm a lawyer, so I need just to know law.
Yes.
So there's some basic things that we all need to know. And you look at all other things, maybe services that are being offered by lawyers, they're being incorporated into technology. So how do you catch up? Because initially, probably using technology in law, it was more luxury, but now it's a necessity. You have no choice, because if you don't do it right now, there's a phrase I usually like to put across, that technology is not going to replace lawyers, but lawyers who use technology are going to replace those who don't. Okay. You get the point? So it's how do you leverage technology? Because technology puts you ahead of the curve, ahead of the rest. Because if I'm going to serve a client, because clients are looking for efficiency and convenience. So if you are going to stick to your traditional ways of practice, and then a client, maybe on my end, I can leverage technology. I can serve maybe 3 clients in a month, whereas you can serve only 1 client. Who's doing better? It's because I've taken advantage of technology. So technology is inevitable. It's here for us. It's here to stay. So you just have to adapt and upskill.
Wow. I love how you're putting everything together. And maybe someone is watching and they're wondering, do Amtalex Solutions do offer consultancy services as well?
Yes. Actually, Amtalex Solution, our main clientele are lawyers. So we train lawyers on how to incorporate technology in law, which we guide them towards the right tools to use. We teach them on how to use AI, because in as much as AI is there, many people think just because you can go on ChatGPT, type in something, and then within 5 seconds it gives you a response, you know how to use ChatGPT. Use of AI is a skill like any other skill. So you have to learn. There's the aspect of prompt engineering. How do you prompt an AI tool? How do you structure a prompt so that it gives you a perfect output? And then there's the aspect of ethical use of AI, especially in our profession. There's the issue of data protection and all that. So which data do you input in an AI model? Which one do you avoid? Because you see, most of these AI tools are not African made. These are, all of them are coming from the West, especially from Silicon Valley. Now China has entered the race. So we don't know where this data is being stored. So, but does that make the the AI tools bad. No,
No.
we use them. So what you do, you just use them cautiously. So you know what information to give
feed
it,
in.
what information not to feed it. Because it can, AI tools can give you any other information. It can help you to draft legal documents. It can help you to do legal research. So it's just how you take advantage of it. And that's why we welcome any lawyer who's either you're starting up as a new advocate, or you have been there for quite some time, but now you want to embrace technology. Intellect Solution, that's why we exist.
Wow, wow, wow. Now I want us to talk about one of your best, I think this is one of my favorite initiatives. I like hearing about it, you know, and that's Ai Magazani.
Yes.
Maybe you can tell us what led to the foundation of Ai Magazani, and was it something that you decided by yourself or as a group?
No, I think Ai Magazani, as you said, you love it. It's something that is so dear to me. It's personal. Like when you talk about Ai Magazani, it's like you're speaking to my heart.
We can tell from the vibe.
Yeah. So Ai Magazani is first informed by what happened to me as
in your childhood.
Yes.
Now.
You see, at first it drove me to pursue law, but now even as I was doing that, I realized it's not just my father. There are many people like him.
It's true.
Okay.
Yeah.
So during my pupillage at Makadara, I interacted a lot with the inmates from industrial area. So, and I'm this person who is very curious, just trying to understand. And even when I'm at some point, I listen a lot more than I talk, you know. So I'd listen how these inmates are representing themselves, and I could see a gap, you know. So it's like I have the privilege of having gone to law school. I understand the law. Probably I can represent someone. Right now, my family will not go through what we went through when I was a child, because at least I have that advantage. There's something I know, you know.
Yeah.
But what about these other people? You know.
Yeah.
Probably right now it's more than 2 decades now. I cannot. The best way I say I could avenge my father is by empowering other people so that they don't go through the same.
Wow.
You get the point?
Yes.
So I saw what inmates are going through, the struggle they had in representing themselves during cross-examination. They're being asked questions, and then some will even incriminate themselves. You know, they end up going behind bars, not because they did something wrong, but how they responded. Because you see, unfortunately, the law is very brutal.
Yeah.
In the sense that I usually say, and I love you to use this Swahili word.
Yeah.
You cannot go to court and tell the magistrate like Simindo Naksho.
Oh.
Like Mungu moja, no. It's about evidence.
Like you can't say that.
No, it's the law, you know.
Okay.
How do you adduce evidence, and how do you argue it out? That's all.
Okay.
It's in black and white.
So if you're not supposed to say Simindo Naksho, then what's the right way to?
The right way is I'm saying this. I can prove I was not at this point at this time, and this is how I can demonstrate that I was not at this point. Or this time it's alleged that I was at this point, but I can prove that I was at this other point.
Okay.
You know, so how do you get yourself outside the very place? Maybe it's a crime scene, you know. Or if you're on the other side, how do you prove that this person was at that crime scene? You know. So it's about how you argue out and how you prove.
It's true.
You know. Yeah. So I was like, these people, this is a lay person who doesn't have legal knowledge. They cannot afford legal representation. So their biggest crime is being poor. You get the point? So I took it upon, and I was like, this is now going to be my mission. Help us take this program to the next level. There are many ways you can come in. You can donate when you go to our website, www.intellectsolution.co.ke. When you check on the home menu, there's a Ai Magazani tab. So once you open, it's like a website on its own. There's a button for donation. If you want to sponsor the initiative, if you want to volunteer, it's all that. And it's not just limited to people within the country. Even if you're in the diaspora, you can still do the same. We have our PayPal account there. You can go there, donate whatever you can. And then you can also purchase merchandise. So we have different merchandise, either Intellect Solution or Ai Magazani. So whatever merchandise you purchase, the proceeds goes towards the projects, the initiative, so that whatever we get from selling the merchandise, it again goes to supporting these inmates. Okay. Because looking at it, like the AI agent that we are developing is cash intensive, because we have to buy the tokens and all that, just designing and all that. because we're looking at an AI model that will have an offline functioning, whereby we understand there are certain areas of this country where we don't have even internet infrastructure in terms of access to internet. So what happens? Do we leave them behind because there's no internet? But we're looking at having an AI agent that can operate offline, so that even those prisons that are in remote areas of this country can still take advantage of the same.
Wow. Welcome back. This is Didak Media, and you're still hanging out with me, Sharon Yeke. And remember, today we are having Godwin Segero. He's the founder of Mtalek Solutions. Make sure you check us out on all our social media platforms. We're there on LinkedIn. And mentioning LinkedIn, congratulations for hitting 2,000 followers on LinkedIn.
Yeah, thank you.
How does that make you feel?
It makes me feel great, actually, not because of the numbers. I'm not celebrating just 2K as the numbers, but I'm celebrating the community that I've built over time. It's not like I've been on LinkedIn for quite some time, but I've been intentional for the last 7 months, especially when I started Ai Magazani thing, you know. So I became intentional on creating a community on LinkedIn, and I can tell you it's been fruitful, because one of the guys that we are working on developing the AI agent, we met on LinkedIn.
Wow.
Okay. Many people that are on a volunteer list going to Ai Magazani. So for me, LinkedIn is not just any other social media platform, but it's a family. So I don't see the 2K is just numbers because I reached 2K, but I'm seeing the community that I've built over there, the family, the people the great things that we're doing together. I've met people who've empowered me, mentored me, and I've also found people that are looking at me to hold their hand, and it's amazing.
Wow, dear LinkedIn, please pay us the dues, because because we deserve them. So right now I want us to talk about the long-term vision of Ai Magazani, because it seems like you have held it so passionately. So maybe you can tell us a little bit of the long-term vision. What's the plan now that you've already gotten to the point where you're launching an agent for it? So what should we expect after the launch of the agent?
So the long-term goal for Ai Magazani ideally is just having every prison, every inmate in this country being empowered. And we are looking at it at how do we then do it. I'm looking at every prison having a computer lab. Every prison having, at least for those areas that have proper internet access, every prison having access to internet. I'm looking at a future where other countries will come to Kenya to benchmark on how did we leverage technology to empower inmates. Because across the globe, I've done my research, and how many prisons are using AI. There are many prisons in countries like Finland, UK, and all that. But the difference between those countries and Ai Magazani is they're using AI on inmates, whereas we're using AI for inmates. Why do I say that? Because many of those prisons in those countries that are using AI, you'll find it's for surveillance, monitoring behavioral change, maybe to counter maybe if maybe inmates wants to fight and all that, you know. But for them, they're using it on inmates for surveillance on how inmates are living, what is happening, you know. But for us, we're using AI to impact the inmates, to give them the skills, to help them fight for justice.
Wow. So when you talk about every inmate, I feel like there's a term that really confuses people. We have remandee and we have convicts. Maybe you can explain to the audience the difference between a remandee and a convict.
Thank you, Sharon. So the difference between a remandee and the convict is, a remandee is someone who's behind bars pending their trial. So their case is being heard, but they're behind bars. And this happens to either someone who cannot afford cash bail or someone who's been denied cash bail. But remember, cash bail is a right. And before you are denied cash bail, there's a threshold on why someone can be denied cash bail.
Okay.
So let's say if you're a flight risk. A flight risk means like if they let you be outside when your case is being heard, you might disappear. Okay? And then probably you are a threat to the society, or rather to the witnesses. Okay? You can be denied cash bail. Or to protect yourself, because there are people probably, let me give an example. Let's say for the case of Shakahola.
Yeah.
Okay? Yeah. Maybe this is someone who's, like, many people have died under their watch. Probably if they they
let
let him
him to the
loose,
party.
it's the people themselves are going to. You remember, there's a
But this thing has been happening. Of late, we've seen cases where citizens are taking it up upon themselves. They're going to prisons.
There's this case. There's this guy who, I think he used to kill children or what.
Yeah.
There's this. He was from Western. So when he escaped Jogoro police station,
Yeah,
the next thing he was found dead.
Yes,
so
I remember the case.
At times, those are some of the grounds on which you can be denied cash bail. But under normal circumstances, cash bail is your constitutional right.
Oh wow!
You know, you cannot be denied cash bail. You know, so it's
for
either
any case.
Yeah, so it's either you cannot afford it, or for those reasons that I've stated. You know, so those are for those people who are behind bars pending their trials. Those are remandees. And then there's a convict.
Convicts.
A convict is someone whose trial has come to an end. They've been the judgment has come out, and they've been found guilty of the offense. You know, so now they have to serve their jail term.
Okay.
Yep.
Now at least we understand the difference between a convict and a remandee.
Yes.
And now when you also talk about every prison, is this inclusive of juvenile or?
Yeah, actually, it's good. It's good you bring it out, because when I say prison, anyone who is behind bars for whatever, be it juvenile, be it the normal prison, I want to empower. I want our program to empower all these people.
Wow.
Because I believe justice should be a right, not a preserve for the few who can afford. Okay? So, and it can only take us, not me, not you, but all of us to achieve that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So when you talk about all of us, maybe what are some of the partnerships or contributions? Are you looking for specific people, maybe people who are in law, or anyone can partner with Mtalek Solutions for you to?
As I said, justice, it should be a right for all of us. So it means everyone else can be part of this. Okay. So it doesn't matter whether you're from the legal field, you are in tech, you are just a well-wisher, even you as in your individual capacity. Because this is the thing, all of us, some of us have been here, maybe personally, or maybe a friend, a relative has been there. Or if not, probably tomorrow, God forbid, because we never know.
Yeah.
I usually say all of us are potential clients of either a prison or any other correctional facility, because there are scenarios where you find yourself at the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yeah.
What happens? You didn't intend to be there. So today you can say, you know, I can't support because it's not me, none from my family has suffered the same, until it happens to you, until it gets close home. That's when you realize it can also affect you. Yeah. So that, as I said, we welcome everyone. And it doesn't have to be in let's say you have to contribute millions for you to be, even that 1 shilling.
Oh, okay.
It will go a long way. That 10 shillings, it will go a long way. That laptop that you're not using, we can use it to equip these prisons. For that skill that you have, you can use it to train these people. You as a lawyer, you can come and bring your skill, offer pro bono legal aid. It still goes a long way, because the purpose and the common goal is empowering our brothers and sisters behind bars. So
is there a specific maybe pay bill number, or where can people send their funds in case they want to support?
Yes, so for M-Pesa, we have a pay bill, 100, 400, and then the account number is MGZ for Ai
Magazani.
Yes.
And
then for brothers and sisters in the diaspora, if you go to our website, there's a PayPal account, or rather you can use Ai Magazani. Ai Magazani at mtaleksolution.co.ke as the email for donation. And
what about for the purchase of merchandise?
For the purchase of merchandise, you go to our website. Mtalek Solutions. You find their hoodies there, their polo t-shirts, their cups, their mugs, anything that you want. Whatever you do, it goes a long way in supporting this initiative.
Okay. That's such an amazing talk today. I hope it's going to impact the lives of so many people out there. And the next person who's about to join us for this show is going to tell us more about how Ai Magazani, if you knew about it, how it's going to impact their lives. So make sure you stay tuned to get updates about Ai Magazani. You can also check out their social media platforms, and also remember to follow the Dark Media on all social media platforms. Yeah.
Asante sana for having us. And let's get this message out. Let everyone know what you're doing, because it will take us to change. Let's be the change that we want to see.
Wow.
Asante sana.
Love that. Let's be the change that we want to see. I've been your host, Sharon Yike. And until the next one, don't go too far.